Baseball and Whatever, with your host, Justin McAwee.
Because I was on campus and I had to appear like I was one of the cool kids, I would put the Star Wars book inside one of my textbooks so it looked like I was just studying for class.
All right, look, there's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Vincent Francis Jankowitz IV.
I'm a glorified fact checker.
Last I checked, the most runs in a game wins.
Actually, I am a fact checker.
And Greg Probst.
If you look at most Bond fans movie rankings, they have Casino Royale and Majesties in their top two. For me, these actually rank in the bottom part of my list. I mean, I love them, but they don't compare to Diamond Cross Forever.
No, stop getting Bond wrong!
Alrighty, everybody, what is up? Justin here. There's Vinny, Baseball and Whatever, episode 83. I am so excited. If you're from Chicago, you know what that's from. All right, so this week we are diving deep into baseball. We got some discussion on Eric Hosmer and the Cubs. I saw on Twitter today, Vinny, someone said that this might be the time to trade Matt Mervis. I don't know if we want to talk about that later, but yeah,
Who said that?
It was some random
We'll get
person
into that later.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's anything to talk about with the White Sox. They're not real. I know they introduced Andrew Benintendi this week, and Rick Hahn went on and on about how this was his guy, and he waited 7 years to get him because he couldn't draft him. We'll talk about the Bears. It's good old Virginia's 100th birthday today. Does that sound right? All right. So we can wish her a happy birthday. We'll talk. Justin Fields is taking the week off. That sore hip, I guess, is bothering him. I'm doing air quotes here. And then we can also talk a little bit about DeMar Hamlin and all that stuff. Great news. He woke up today and his first thing he wrote down, because he can't speak yet, was, "Did we win?" So happy he's doing okay. As scary of a situation that was, there's some really great charity work that's going on around that. So it kind of revitalized my faith in humanity a little bit. And then Vinny had an awesome idea. We're going to talk about the best closer entrance music. So if you don't know what a closer is, if you're listening and you listen more for the whatever segment, the music that the closer walks out to at the end, the ninth inning, when they're trying to nail down the game, they usually have really good entrance music, kind of like wrestler entrance music, I guess you could say, right? To kind of set the mood.
One person did.
That's true. I did see that pop up a couple times. And then we decided we're going to rank them, and then we might even discuss some ones that we would walk out to, because, Vinny and I have not hit, I don't know, we could still become Major League closers someday if we start right now.
We're right on our prime.
I'm aging like a fine wine. Or
you are.
More like a fine,
I'm aging like a stale beer.
like cream cheese. I don't know. So that's been left out in the sun. I don't know. Me, not you, Vinny. Me. Everything hurts now.
No, I am.
So we'll discuss that. We had a couple people write in. I know Jake from Dingers wrote in, and Kevin from Belly Up Sports wrote in. So we'll discuss that, as did our third musketeer, Greg. He sent us a little bit of information over, so we'll talk about his as well. And that is the show. And I know we got a few hot takes I saw in the notes, which we haven't had lately, so I'm excited about that. But first, it's episode 83. We got to try and figure out who wore the number 83 in Chicago sports. But before we talk about that, I should probably tell people how to get a hold of us. So remember, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/baseballandwhatever. You can tweet us at baseballandwhat. You can email the show, baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. You can find us on all your podcast apps of choice, Apple, Spotify, Google, Anchor, Spreaker. What's the new one that we're now on, Vinny? Megaphone. Yes, if you weren't able to download our episode last week on Friday morning or Thursday night like you normally do, it's because we shifted hosts and we had some issues with that. But it's all taken care of, so that should not be a problem. And most importantly, you can also tweet us, text us, I should say, or call our voicemail at 1-913-808-3278. That number again is 1-913-808-FART. There we go. Vinny. Number 83 is in Chicago. What do you got?
All right.
I got nothing.
The only team that has it is the Bears. And It's been a lot of wide receivers, some tight ends.
Okay.
But the most recent person to wear, do you know who that was? He was cut this year, drafted last year out of North Carolina.
He was already cut after 1 year. Was this a Ryan Pace pick or a Ryan Poles pick?
Yes.
Ryan Pace, right?
Ryan Pace. Yep.
No, I don't know who it was.
I was hoping this guy was going to be something.
Who was he?
Got hurt last year.
I don't know who it was.
You don't know?
No.
Daz Newsome.
Oh, yeah. Another Ryan Pace pick that Ryan Pace always felt like he was the smartest guy in the room when it came to the draft. And, you know, I'm thinking Adam Shaheen, I'm looking at you in this direction. So,
it's not the only one.
No. We could do a whole episode on top 5 worst Ryan Pace picks. That's actually not a bad idea.
Oh God, yeah. That'd be easy. You'd have to. That'd be maybe one of our hardest top 5 picks.
It might be, yeah.
We've done so far, topping the top 5 pop songs we did last week. But before that, Javon Wims.
Oh, was he a lineman?
Javon Wims.
Or was he a receiver?
Javon Wims was a wide receiver.
Oh, was he the one that kept getting really dumb penalties and they cut him? Was he one of them, like for hitting people on the helmet and stuff?
No, that was, I can't think of that guy's name.
I don't know who I'm thinking
right
of
now. That was not Javon Wims.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I can't remember. He was from Georgia.
Okay.
He came out of Georgia. No,
okay.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Doesn't ring a bell at all.
All right.
Can't say it does.
And then Daniel Braverman wore 83.
That
Doesn't
name sounds familiar.
White guy, wide receiver.
Okay. Yeah, a little
Not
bit.
good.
A little bit.
Before that, Martellus Bennett. That should ring.
Okay, Martellus Bennett, I remember. Yes, I remember. Did he end up going to Seattle after the Bears? Or is that his brother?
No, his brother was with Seattle. He went to the Packers.
Oh, that's right. That's
after
right.
the Bears.
Okay.
And then before that, David Terrell.
Yes. I remember David Terrell was always the guy that was like, oh, look how fast he is, but he just couldn't catch the ball, right? Am I remembering that correctly or no?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay. I just remember he didn't pan out.
2001 to 2004.
Okay, 3 years, and then he was done with the Bears anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he played with Denver. He wasn't that good.
No.
Like most Bears
receivers,
he came from Michigan. First round, 8th overall.
Why do you need good offense if you're a football team?
What?
Why would you need good offense? That way, you know, if
right, exactly.
you're a football team.
You got a good defense.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Let's see here. Michael Timpson, 95 to 96.
No.
That was 1 year. Willie Galt.
Yes, Willie Galt, I remember. Yep. Yep.
And then let's see here. Mark Percival in 1967 to 1973.
I'll have to see if your dad remembers him.
And then before that was Roger Leclerc. It's French, most likely. So I'm sure that's my best French accent.
Roger Leclerc.
Yeah, maybe it's Leclerc. Yeah. I honestly don't know, and there's no breakdown of his spelling or pronunciation here.
Oh, okay. Pretzel Vince in the chat says Willie Galt was the 83 that was very fast but couldn't catch a cold.
There you go. That's who you're remembering, Justin.
That's who I'm thinking of, yes. Long history of 83s.
But that does it for good old number
83. Very nice. Very nice. All right, well, we did have one write-in from Dr. Mantis. Would you like to take this one, Vinny, or you want me to take it?
Sure. Dr. Mantis actually wrote in he sent a text while we were doing our show, so I didn't catch it. But he submitted in his pop songs, and his number 5 is Don't Speak by No Doubt. Number 4 is I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
Number 3, Despacito, right, by Louis Fonsi. Is it Louis Fonsi?
Sure.
It's a very Italian name.
Yeah. I honestly don't know.
Luis?
That's a great question. Luis,
yeah,
maybe?
I don't know.
Or Louise?
Yeah.
I have no clue.
I know the song. I've don't know the artist. Number 2, Poker Face by Lady Gaga, and number 1, Hey Ya by Outkast. I don't think Hey Ya was mentioned by anybody.
No, and that's a great song. Vinny, I don't know. Have you ever heard the cover? They used to play it out here on the alternative station, the alternative rock station. It was Hey Ya. I think the singer was Obadiah Parker, and it was like a slow melancholy version of the song, like a slow.
I've probably heard it.
It's not bad. It's not, as good as the original. That's just a fun song in general. I sometimes wonder whatever happened to Outkast, because those guys don't really. I don't know what Andre 3000 and Big Boy are up to these days. I don't know.
Yeah, they split for sure.
Yeah.
I know Key and Peele did a funny skit with those two. If you saw it, where Andre 3000 was who's the other? It's Andre 3000 and
Big Boy, right? Is it Big Boy with B-O-I?
And then I think right? Like Big Boy meets Andre 3000 in like a coffee shop, and I think Andre 3000's kind of more the eccentric one. Am I correct?
Yeah. He was more the unique one.
Yeah, and he was just like trying to avoid him, and like he was just kept being really weird in the coffee shop, and, and Big Boy's just like, oh, all right, I gotta go.
I just remember that's Mrs. Jackson. That song came out when I was in middle school, and they played that at every middle school dance. And like that was such a great. I still love that song. So
of course,
I think he wrote that about. Was it Sade? No. He wrote that about some R&B singer that he had a child with, and talking about how possessive her mom was and stuff and that. But anyway, I digress. We don't need to. We're not a R&B podcast, I guess. But yeah, great songs, great choices.
Or whatever podcast, it falls under whatever.
It could, maybe best R&B songs from a certain decade, because we don't want to make it too broad. Like
we don't want to do that to ourselves.
We don't need to do that again like last week.
No.
All right. We do have some hot takes. Vinny, let's do the hot takes.
I don't know if they're hot. They're not hot takes. I'm not going to.
They're just takes. They're takes.
They're not even takes. One's a correction from last week. When we were talking about Achy Breaky Heart.
Yes.
And I said, it spawned the song Achy Breaky Farts by Weird Al, and that was incorrect. I realized that afterwards. Achy Breaky Farts was by none other than Michael Scott, mentioned in an Office episode.
That's right.
Weird Al's song was Achy Breaky Song, where he makes fun of Achy Breaky Hearts in that song. And
gotcha.
I would have loved to have heard Michael Scott's version of Achy Breaky Farts.
What was the other?
There was another one. Stumps.
Yes. What's the one though? The episode with Holly. And he's like, I'd love to hear that song. And he's like, oh, well, we're not close.
Beers in
yet.
Heaven.
Beers in Heaven. Yes.
Is Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven.
Tears in Heaven. Yeah.
That would have been a good one to hear.
That would have been a good one.
The song for. But so yeah, I had to correct myself on that one.
Okay.
And then I realized A Christmas Story.
Okay.
We were talking about that, about the bowling ball he gets. Do you realize? This is my assumption, but you understand why he got that bowling ball as a gift, right? Do you understand why he got that?
No, I don't think I do.
Because when he got his grand prize, he thought it was going to be a bowling alley. Remember, that's the first thing he said. Oh God,
that's right.
I think that's the connection.
I have
no idea, but it just dawned on me today that he got a bowling ball because that's like he was excited about. Oh, it's gonna be a bowling alley. She's like, they're gonna.
It's like, how would they fit that in the box? Well, they could put the deed in there or something. Yeah.
Yeah. For Christ's sake. Yeah, but I just had that revelation that I'm like, oh, maybe that's why she get, because he seemed like kind of like stunned and like.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a blue ball. And he didn't even realize it was a bowling ball. So, really, what was he going to do with a bowling alley?
And then, he's like, a can of, is it Simonize? He gets a can of something, which I'm assuming, is it like some type of cleaner can? I don't know. Or something in the garage, like oil? Or not oil, but like a lubrication? Is it a cleaner? Okay.
It might be something for the
furnace, maybe.
Though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what Simonize is. Maybe the old man, if he's still listening, can let us know, because I'm sure he's used it in his past experiences.
I'm getting. I keep getting stuff for symbiotes. No, I'm not. I'm not looking for symbiote. I'm looking for Simonize. Yeah. No, that's a good. Oh, here we go. It's a glass coat that protects vehicle paint and interior. So maybe like a kind of like a wax, kind of maybe, or a sealant, I guess. Car wax. Yep.
All right, there you go.
And your dad says yes, he has gotten that before.
Hey, everybody! An old man's talking.
So,
but yeah,
there you go.
Those were my. They weren't really takes. They were just notes.
I saw you deleted.
Episodes.
You don't want to talk about Andor?
We'll do. Maybe we should. Yeah, we should do that another time.
We gotta wait until Greg has watched Andor, which who knows at this point, having 3 children. But then finding time for him to come on so we can discuss it. But all right. Yeah. Well. That takes us to our sponsor. Besides Belly Up Sports, we'd like to thank our partner In the Clutch for joining up with us here on Baseball and Whatever. They have the best apparel for licensed MLB, Negro League, and MLS clothing with great shirts to rep your favorite retro hockey, baseball, and football teams. Head to intheclutch.com right now. Find a shirt in it. Check out, use promo code BASEBALLANDWHAT to get 10% off your order. So once again, head to intheclutch.com, pick out a shirt you like, and then for a promo code, use BASEBALLANDWHAT, all capitals, one word, and you will get 10% off your order. Thanks again to the folks over at In the Clutch. All right, let's get to the baseball.
Baseball.
Welcome back to Major League Baseball. Sort of.
Taking a look at Chicago's 2 favorite teams and other happenings around the MLB.
All right. Well, I feel like there's not a whole lot's been going on besides the Cubs signed Eric Hosmer yesterday to the last report I saw, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, it was only like $780,000. It was like close to league minimum, I believe, because the Padres are still paying. Was it league minimum? Because the Padres are still paying him. God, how they have? I don't know. They have millions upon millions still on that deal that he signed with them. That they have to pay him.
I thought it was over 20.
Okay, per year, right? Or is it 20? Okay,
for the next 3 years.
he's got a lot in. And honestly, I've seen like a bunch of Padres fans have been coming out of the woodwork and not going after Cubs fans, but talking about how awful he was and just all these negative things. And I gotta think that it's because of his contract. Like if he had a lower, not so much of a contract, and his production was closer to that value, I don't think they'd care. So as a Cubs fan, they're paying him the league minimum. If it works out and he's a decent first baseman that can platoon with Matt Mervis, if Matt Mervis is ready to go, obviously, I've seen people talk about how his defense has kind of fallen apart a little bit, but still the league minimum, like if it goes bad, that's an easy check to write and say, all right, thanks for coming. Don't show back up tomorrow.
Exactly.
I don't know why people are. I haven't seen it as much, but it seemed like initially people were very upset. But it's like the Cubs have nothing to do with that other contract. They're literally paying the league minimum for this guy. So if it works out, great. Yeah. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, I don't understand why there's so much vitriol about him, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. There were better options out there.
Yes.
He wasn't my first option. He wasn't my second option. He's a cheap insurance policy if Matt Mervis doesn't work out. In my view, that's what he is. But with last year, is he going to be taking meaningful reps away from Matt Mervis when Matt Mervis is ready? That's a concern that people should have. That should be their, I guess, only kind of gripe maybe about it. Is that he's a left-handed bat. And that's what Mervis is. So there's that ability that he's going to be taking at-bats away. They need another bat. He's cheap. It leaves them open to add more, which they should. But I can't be too upset about it. Last year's what they had out there didn't work, and Alfonso Rivas is officially a free agent. He's not with the Cubs organization anymore. It's been a sad day here for me.
Yes, I just saw that too. Yes.
So, yeah, and I hope he can land on his feet and find some other place to play and get some meaningful at-bats that he wasn't getting here in Chicago. But, I don't really, it's an okay signing for me. I don't hate it. I'm not in love with it. The Cubs shouldn't be trotting this out as some genius signing. That would just be ridiculous. But I don't think fans need to be upset about it. It's meh. Yeah, there were better options out there, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, if you think that Eric Hosmer is completely washed, he's 33 years old. I don't see, it's not like they're hooked on him for 5 more years or even 3 more years. I mean,
right.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of 30, starting to approach that wrong side of 30. I think it's okay for league minimum. But at the same time, the Cubs need to cut bait with him if he's not doing it. And Mervis is showing strides, because you got a platoon there with Mervis and Wisdom already at first base. They do need to address third base, I think. That's more of an issue than anything else right now. Outside of an impact bat, I still don't know where they're going to get that at. I don't get why people are upset about it. They signed a guy for league minimum. They're not on the hook for a lot of years. They can cut bait, and they should if he's not pulling his weight. Now that's where you can get upset about, is if he's still being trotted out there and there's no reason for him to be, because there's guys are healthy, and if guys are injured and he's they're having him out there because of that, that's one thing. But if everybody's healthy and they're still trotting him out and he's playing like garbage, that's when you can get angry.
Right. I saw something today on Twitter of people starting to try and compare Matt Mervis to Brian LaHare, and how there was a lot of concern that his numbers were very similar. But I don't understand why the kid guy, I don't know what you want to call him, like, hasn't even stepped foot in a major league stadium yet. Why are we jumping to conclusions? And like you said, you're gonna, like with Alfonso Rivas, I kind of was getting excited based on your excitement, and then you see his final stat line last year. He hit 235, 322, a 307, 83 WRC plus, and a 30% K rate. So you got to wait till he gets here to see what you have. And Brian LaHare started off hot, and then he couldn't keep up, from what I recall. I mean, it's been a while since I've heard the name Brian LaHare even mentioned. It's up there with like Jason DuBois. But yeah, like we'll see what happens. And like you said, there's very little risk for Hosmer. And I mean, if he can, I'm kind of shocked. I didn't realize he was, I say only 33, but like, I thought he was like 36, 37 already. Cause I feel like I remember, was it 2015 when he was on the Royals World Series team? So he must have been.
He's been in the league 11 years.
Wow, that's a lot longer than I thought. So yeah, like, I'm excited. Like you said, he's not my first. I still wish they would have gotten Jose Abreu. I think that would have been an amazing fit. And I would have liked to maybe even have seen Trey Mancini, but I know Trey Mancini's a lot closer to Eric Hosmer than Jose Abreu. But my biggest concern would be, like you said, they have to still. I think on a good year, maybe Dansby Swanson can take the place of Wilson Contreras' offensive production. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you still need some production to come out of first base, usually. Third base, I'm assuming you're just going to trot Wisdom out there, which, I mean, he's got power. If Nico has a better
good at defensive third base, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. But I'm like, okay, so if you're looking for more offensive output, Nico hopefully continues to grow if he can stay healthy. Dansby Swanson hopefully continues to improve. I mean, the Zips projections, I think with him being at Wrigley, added like 7 or 8 home runs to his total, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Ian Happ hopefully continues to build. He's also in a walk year, so typically you would think that he'd have an even better season this year. Mm-hmm. Center field is the biggest gamble, I feel like, because you don't know what you're going to get out of Cody Bellinger. I mean, everyone keeps saying, oh, that's going to be great. Well, he's had 3 really bad years in a row. Maybe being out of LA helps. I don't know. Right field, I think, does Seiya continue to build upon his production, because he started hot and then kind of not bottomed out, but I think the league kind of figured him out, and then he kind of came back from his injury and he bounced back really strong. So does he continue to build? If they all continue to build, that production might be met, but to ask every single one of those guys to continue to improve all at once in the same year, I don't know if that's going to happen. Not to mention, you really can't expect any production from your catcher position at this point because they've made the decision to go defensive first, which that's fine. Whatever, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's tough.
Yep.
It's really tough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you think the Cubs are done in the terms of Crane Kenny? Was this their 9th inning of the offseason?
Oh, I don't know. Hopefully they can get into extras. Yeah, I don't know. They still need a bat. I really don't know what's out there for
it's not much.
Free agent DHs.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so then if Mervis is playing, do you have Hosmer play DH? But Hosmer isn't your prototypical DH or your prototypical first baseman in terms of power because he's more of a ground ball line drive guy.
Ground ball hitter. Yep. Yeah.
So you have that. Do you on the days he's playing first, does Mervis play DH or Cody Bellinger plays DH, and then you move Morel to center, or is Morel going to be playing more third?
Morel's going to be third baseman.
Okay, so then that's another one. Does Morel continue to improve? Because he definitely had ups and downs last seasons too, trying to figure things out. So, in one breath, I feel like
they signed Carlos Correa to play third base.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because according to CBS Sports, Scott Boras, his agent, is now back to talking to other teams, which, holy cow, that was as of 3 hours ago. It says Mets are still working on the deal. I did see a tweet from, I think it was Ken Rosenthal, saying they think the deal will get done still, but it is going to be vastly different than the original deal. So, I don't know. If you had to put money down, you think he ends up a Met, or you think Scott Boras or is this all Scott Boras being a blowhard saying
I think he's
looking
going to be a Met?
Yeah.
I mean, I think unless someone's going to pay him what the Mets offered or close to that, I think if he's getting less money, he's still going to go with the Mets first. I don't know. Unless he's completely soured on that deal. I don't know. I think, it's got to be the Mets or
I think Mets or Twins.
Nothing.
I could also.
I think it's a Mets.
I could also
see. I would be totally shocked if it's somebody else.
Part of me thinks like the chaos that would ensue would be amazing in terms of just content, but like the Twins offered him a contract that didn't match what obviously what the Giants or the Mets matched, but or what they offered, but like they knew about this issue probably last season, I'm guessing. So if they were willing to offer that and they didn't care, like I could see him or I shouldn't say him. I could see Scott Boras being like, "Hey, you want to throw a little bit more on there? We'll tell the Mets to take a hike." You know what I mean? But I also don't think Steve Cohen's going to let him go in terms of like, well, what's the breaking point before you're going to cut bait and run? So
right, exactly. Especially the way he throws money around, like it doesn't matter.
I can't even imagine having that type of money. But
looking at available DHs. Nelson Cruz, Andrew McCutchen, Luke Voigt, John Voigt's grandson, Rafael Ortega. We will not go down that road again.
No.
Zach Collins, Matt Davidson, Caleb Coward.
Man, you're really starting to scrape the bottom of the. I mean, Luke Voigt, maybe. Nelson Cruz has got to be 41 at this point. How old is he? He's got to be getting up there.
Mike Moustakas is still available.
Nelson Cruz is 42.
Miguel Sano. What's that?
Nelson Cruz is 42.
Yeah.
So
42 and a half. So round up to 43.
Yeah, I feel like Luke Voigt maybe. But that
Miguel
I
Sano,
don't know.
He plays first base, but Mike Moustakas plays third base.
Well, and we know that's one of Jason Kendall's guys. Maybe we could, if they sign him, we'll have to have him back on. He's 34,
still somewhat young.
How am I older than all these guys? This is really depressing.
Yeah.
This is really
Adam
depressing.
Duvall. Gary
I haven't heard.
Adam Duvall's an interesting guy. He's got some power.
Yeah. Gary Sanchez.
The Braves.
I feel like Gary Sanchez, ever since he left the Yankees, just like you don't hear about him anymore at all.
No.
I don't.
With the Twins last year.
Yeah.
I don't think he did really well.
No. I don't know. I don't know.
The bar owner of Idiots is available for
Tommy LaStella.
A bat. Yeah.
I don't even think it would take a bat at this point. I think if you just left a nice voicemail on him, he'd come, and then he wouldn't leave.
Running back.
He'd just show up at the stadium. Hey, I heard you guys need a DH. Not Tommy, we're good.
Right?
No, I got nothing to do.
Yeah, there's not much out there.
And I would love to say
Matt
like
Duffy is only 31.
And he did well with the Cubs last year, right? I mean, he didn't have a bad season.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, I'm sorry.
Wasn't good.
Last year, yeah.
But yeah, he was good with the Cubs. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you can tap into that again.
Yeah. It's funny because like in one breath, no. And in one breath, I could still say, you know what? They have a chance if everything kind of goes their way and falls into place. They could still challenge for the division, or at worst, they could easily get into a wild card spot, I feel like. And that's still with the roster they have, which that was something that Gordon Wittenmeyer brought up yesterday, I think, when he was on the CHGO Cubs podcast, is Luke Stuckmeyer asked him, do you think the Cubs could have more losses or a worse record this season? And he's like, certainly they could still have a worse record this season than they did last season, which I don't know. I feel like I would push back a little against that. I don't know how they could be much worse, especially that first half of the season. I don't know, but
yeah, I think it's more of if you're looking at it just from an offensive standpoint, losing Wilson really, I mean, that he was a big portion of the offense, but at the same time, if you look at it in the second half of the season, he wasn't playing that much. And Yan Gomes was catching more, and that's when they were doing they were playing better during that period, that second half, and he wasn't on the field as much. So take that for what you will. It's really up in the air. I don't know if they're going to be worse. They could be exactly the same. It could just be smoothed out where it's just kind of meh. The entire season's not really bad the first half. Good the second half, like it was last year, could just be blah the entire way. But we'll see.
Do you have anything? I feel bad for our White Sox listeners. I literally have nothing to say. I don't know what else can be rehashed or resaid beside they still need a second baseman. They still, I don't know. I feel like
money to spend it too. Yeah. I mean, because the way that Benintendi's contract is structured, it's backloaded.
Yes.
So that means that they have money to spend somewhere on somebody, and they need a second baseman. They need another outfielder. Who's going to play right? Because Benintendi's a left fielder, right?
I believe so. Yes. Are they making him?
Right.
Well, Luis Robert is not. Is it Eloy or Luis is going to be the full? Okay, and then Eloy is going to be their full-time DH now. If I'm not, I believe I read that.
Well, he should be.
We'll see. Before he kills himself on the field, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to trot Andrew Vaughn out there for right field again. I think Oscar Colas is what people are talking about going to be out there. You're gonna again. We kind of talked about this last week with second base.
Yeah,
you're really gonna be in your contention window throwing a rookie out there, who Oscar Colas is he was great last year, but he's not like a top 10 like MLB prospect. These guys that we'll rush out there he's good, but you don't know exactly what he's gonna be. And in your contention window, do you really want to risk throwing? I mean they'll do it. But, I mean, anybody that's contending and in your window shouldn't be relying on a rookie to be playing meaningful at bats. Like, you want to kind of bring him in slowly unless there's an injury and you kind of have to. Or he's this, this bona fide top 5 prospect.
Right.
That's usually what you see, but that's not him. That he's not a, top 1. I don't even know if he's top 100 prospect right now.
I feel like I try to tread a line because I'm not a White Sox fan, but I'm also not wishing ill will or harm, and I don't look at them as like a Cubs rival because they're not in our league. But I feel bad, or my perspective is like White Sox management is hanging their hat on this Benintendi signing, and he's a decent player. But like I feel like Rick Hahn in particular, because this was his guy, like this is the guy he wanted. It's almost like, look, we're all in like this. Look at what we did. Look what I did. I got this guy. And I kind of like take a step back, obviously, because I have no rooting interest. Besides, I like to listen to Jason Benetti and Steve Stone. But it's like, that's not enough. That like, and I think Sox fans agree. I don't know if maybe this bought some goodwill because there was so much ill will towards the organization from last season and going into this offseason. But like, I'm so tired of management saying we don't put money out because no one comes to support the team. It's like, no, if you put winning cures all issues. So if you put money into the team and they win, you are going to fill up. I'll be the first to admit, like going to a Sox game, it's a beautiful stadium. It's so easy to get around. And this is coming from a guy that loves Wrigley, but it's a dump. Like, but Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't want to put money in, and like the Benintendi contract is their biggest free agency signing, only topping Yasmani Grandal, that was what, 4 years, $70 million? Like nowadays that's just a normal average contract for like a decent player, right? Like, I don't know. If I was a Sox fan, I would really lower my expectations. Granted, the division is still winnable, but I could still see Cleveland just being like, nah, we're going to take this. Thanks for showing up and have a great season. But I don't know.
Yep.
So,
and correction, I found out Oscar Colas is ranked currently 95th in the top 100. So he is cracked there, but I mean, 5 spots in. Again, I guess if you want to roll the dice, I don't think you're the heavy favorite that people were picking you to be last year.
No.
To win the World Series, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, teams do it all the time, right? They trot out a prospect and the prospect takes off. So hopefully that works out for Oscar Colas, Rami Gonzalez, or Lennon Sosa. Those guys all take off. That would be
well. I think too. At
great,
least they'll get a chance to at least play because Grifol, I think, will give them the opportunity. Whereas a lot of those guys, like they got 2 or 3 games at a time when someone was hurt, and then they were immediately sent back down because Tony La Russa didn't want to play them. At least that's the mentality I kind of was able to gauge from them. I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. You got any other baseball thoughts?
I don't.
All right. Well, then let's move on to the football talk.
Manures of the Midway, where the guys talk the pile of horse crap that is the Chicago Bears.
I mean, when you consider the other choices, manure is actually pretty refreshing.
All right, so Vinny, do you want to start? Should we sing "Happy Birthday" to Virginia McCaskey, or how does this work? What would you like to do?
I don't think we should sing to Virginia because she's not listening to this podcast. But I have to. Ask you.
Here's the question though: do you think she knows what a podcast is?
No.
Okay,
no,
fair enough.
I don't.
Sorry.
I don't think she probably has a computer or a cell
smartphone.
Phone. I mean, she's probably got a jitterbug.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Or a life alert, just the life alert, and that's it. The family doesn't even they're like, don't even call. Just call these people. She thinks the life alert people are her family at this point, probably.
I feel so bad when they trot her out to games, and it's like, don't make this poor woman go to the stadium. Like, does she really have all her I don't know. Like, maybe she does. Like, my grandmother lived to be, I think, 102, and up until like 99 to about 100, she still was mentally there 100% and could have a conversation with. So maybe Virginia McCaskey is. I don't know. I don't want to like that.
Football acumen than George at this point.
Well, I think a garbage can might have better acumen than George McCaskey.
I was going to ask you though, what do you think her 100th birthday party is going to be like? Do you think it's going to be like reserved? Everybody's around the kitchen table and they have the little like cake they got from Walmart because that's cheap McCaskies.
Cheapest, yeah.
They probably got it. It was probably like clearance. They got it like it's gonna expire that day, so they got that.
It's like when they throw the bagels or the donuts out that have been sitting out all day at the end of the night. Yeah,
it's got the white. It's got the yellow clearance sticker on it at Walmart. George picks it up on his way home from Hallis Hall and gets digging through the junk drawer for the 100 the 1 and the 00 candles. The families all gather around and sing happy birthday. Do you think it's like that, or do you think it's like a wild, like they get like a DJ, they got like a naked ice sculpture of Virginia, and
I don't know,
like dancers around the mansion? Do you think it's wild, or do you think it's more reserved?
I don't know if it's reserved. I think it's just gonna be cheap, like you said. Whenever I think of the McCaskies, I think of the line from Ferris Bueller about, Cameron Fry, you stick a lump of coal up his ass, in 2 weeks you have a diamond. Please don't stick anything up anyone's butts in the McCaskies, but I'm thinking of like, they're so good at tightwads and penny pinching and squeezing their pennies so tight, they are turning coals into diamonds. So I think you're getting like the clearance streamers from Party City.
Not even clearance streamers. They're probably reusing like the office party supplies.
They're probably
George
just
like
raiding the closet at Hallis Hall and be like, "What's orange and blue that we can hang up around the house?" Like,
right? The Post-its.
yeah. No, it's no ice sculpture. It's none of that. It's definitely very. I don't think reserved is the right word. I just think cheap. If they won't spend money on the team, they're sure as hell not going to spend money on a birthday party. I don't know.
George has spent all week making party hats out of like paper, like making cones. And,
look at these nice hats I made, Mom.
With a hole punch, right?
Yeah, the goodie bags are all handmade by George.
There's brown paper sacks of his old lunch bags taken throughout the year. He's kept them. Oh my God! Dumped out the lunch, but I got to reuse these for party bags.
That is a man I would love. Not because I want to meet him, but I would love to just have a conversation and really get a feel for like, what is this guy all about? Like, is he?
I would love to meet him. I would
like to meet him.
If you like pick a person to have a dinner with, I would like to have. I mean, he'd make me pay most likely. No, but he seems like a really nice guy.
He does.
From everything I've heard, him going around and talking to the fans
and writing letters back to the fans.
Yeah, and then who is it? Zach Miller, when he had his injury.
Yes, to his credit,
he dislocated his knee. He went down there and visited with him when he was still in New Orleans in the hospital down there. So that was, he's an all. I know we're taking jabs.
Yes,
at him
taking
right
pot
now,
shots at him. Yeah,
he seems like an all right guy. So,
well, I think you can differentiate too. You can be a very nice and a good human being, but also you can be bad at your job, right?
Yes,
like.
Yes,
and you can also have good intentions, and those intentions just don't work, which I think is, I don't know. The Bears ownership group or the McCaskey family to me is the quintessential like Lucy and Charlie Brown, and it's like, all right, this is the time. We hired the right guy. We got the right thing. This is all gonna work, and then they just pull the football out again. Not because they're doing it maliciously or on purpose, just because they literally don't know how to hold a football because they don't know anything about football. So I don't know. But anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. I mean, good for her. I'm still hoping they sell the team someday, but whatever. You could always get a worse owner.
After they move to Arlington.
Yes,
and hire
that
Greg
would
to
be
work at the new stadium.
Yes, Greg's gonna work his way up. And then we're gonna get texts saying, "Hey guys, lay off the team. They're trying." He'll be a company man.
Exactly.
Do you wanna? I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of the game, but do you want to talk about? I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to watch last week's game, but do you want to talk a little bit about what you're thinking for the Lions this week and Justin Fields not playing?
They're playing the Vikings.
I'm sorry, they played the Lions last week. They're playing the Vikings this week.
I wrote it that way because it doesn't matter what this. I mean, their season ended last week against the Lions because that was Justin Fields' last game.
Go Texans this week.
Exactly. That was a really, really ugly game all around.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get to sit down and I don't get to sit down and watch 4 quarters of football. I had it on and my son wanted to be playing, so I'm trying to play and also watch, and he's getting upset with me that it's not his cartoons, and I'm telling him that I don't get to watch football that much anymore. Yeah, it was a bad game. Defense, there was bad tackling. It was one of those first games, like, they've played hard. Say what you will about, they've gone on the 10-game losing streak or whatever it is right now. They've always played hard. They were very fundamentally sound for the lack of talent that they had. But the Lions game was the first game that was just like, this is bad. Like, this
not
is
good.
Like
and it's the Lions,
level trying out there. Like it was kind of the end of this. If it was last week, this next week, it would be understandable. It's like, you guys still got one more week. You guys got to be, still, it's kind of the end of the season. It's the lost season. I think it's starting to wear on the guys. It looked like it out there. Justin Fields did not have a good game from what I saw, but he also did not have a line in front of him. I turned the game on and I'm seeing Michael Schofield getting carted off, and I'm like, that's not good. Why is he in the game to begin with? And he was in there because Tevin Jenkins was out, and then they're putting in some reserve guy that I don't even remember his name. It's like Dieter or something like that, who's on roller skates pretty much the entire game. He's just getting pushed back. And say what you will about some of the routes, and if you're going to say, of course, our favorite beat reporter, Dan Wiener, was out there doing still shots and saying Dante Pettis is open because he was breaking to the left, and yes, he didn't have a defender near him, but there was a cornerback under the route, there was a safety over top, and they were both inching towards that area where Dante Pettis was going. And also, there was a defensive lineman coming straight at Justin Fields. When he wanted to throw it, he pumped and had to drop the ball back because I'm sure it looked like it would have gotten disrupted by the guy that was running free because the new guard could not block him. So it was a bad game, and it was like all the people for like the past 8 weeks that have wanted to just trash Justin Fields have been waiting for this game.
Oh yeah,
it's have a good game.
No.
And as soon as the game was over with, it was the Bears are going to trade Justin Fields. I also saw people saying that the Bears need to clean house, and it's like get rid of Poles and Flus, and it's like, okay, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Zero. None.
The ownership, okay, first of all, ownership, as we've talked about, is cheap. You argue that they're cheap or not, but they are also very patient. They're gonna give Ryan Poles at least 2 more years. I'm guaranteeing
at
that. At least. I mean, Ryan Pace had 7 years, right?
And look what a disaster was that.
Exactly. He wasn't good through any of it. He had one good season with Matt Nagy, and that was all because of the defense. But they're overtly patient. There's no way that Poles is going to look at Flus because, I mean, he's going to fire him. Poles knows what he's doing. It's not like this was a championship roster he put together. This is the example of making chicken salad out of chicken shit. I mean, that's exactly what this coaching staff had to work with.
Yeah.
And they did. They, like I said, I mean, and you can see it. They were fundamentally sound. They weren't a heavily penalized team.
That's a big one.
They did come out and put in good effort. They were close in a lot of games. It came down to the final drive in a lot of them. I don't think they're going to clean house. I don't think you can make that that logical analysis by what the Bears franchise history has been and who's in charge and he hired. Someone was trying to argue with me saying that the Matt Eberflus hire has George's handwriting all over it. And it's, if you remember correctly, Ryan Poles came in and made the choice himself. He took over that hiring process, which pissed off Ernie Accorsi.
Right.
The evidence was there. That was reported. That's factual stuff. To say that George had any hand in this is boneheaded. That just makes no sense. It's like people lost their minds when 2023 happened. And then people saying that Justin Fields should play wide receiver.
Oh, I heard that call on the score. Oh my God.
Yes. Or that Hubs thing. They should draft a quarterback and move Justin Fields to the Taysom Hill type role. What? Justin Fields can throw the ball. Taysom Hill can't.
Right. There's a reason Taysom Hill is Taysom Hill.
And we're not even in the offseason yet. It's going to be a long offseason.
No, I pulled up the tweet you found from, I think it was from Parkinson Spiegel's show. And, obviously they had Hub Arkish come on, which was, as much as some of his takes drive me insane, like I was very happy that he's kind of in the works of making a full recovery he's healthy. I know they talked about was it a massive heart attack or a cardiac arrest? I can't remember which one it was now. Do you remember?
I think it was a heart attack, but yeah.
Heart attack, okay.
Yeah.
So, but
issue,
then,
we'll
I saw the thing highlighted, and one of his takes was pair him with, draft a new quarterback and pair him as a combo. Why? Like, you have clear evidence, now granted not this last game against the Lions, like you said, but you have clear evidence of Justin Fields making strides, number one. And number two, I will beat this drum. This is the hill I will die on. He doesn't have an offensive line in front of him that is NFL caliber, and he doesn't have an NFL caliber wide receiver core. Why would you just cut bait and be like, oh, we're going to start all over when the guy hasn't even had talent to work with? Like that, I don't understand. Like, It's been 1.5 seasons he's gotten to play, and this is a hot take. He's already better than Mitch Trubisky. I think that's a safe assumption. Can you imagine Mitch Trubisky with the team he had? They would be 0-17 now, 0-16 going on 0-17. Like, there's no way. Yeah. So I don't understand the media, the fan, more so the fans maybe, were willing to give all these other guys plenty of time. But Justin Fields has a couple bad games, in addition to having a shit team in front of him, and you're ready to write him off already. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, and from the Bears, like a fan standpoint, aren't you tired of the Bears constantly drafting quarterbacks?
Yes.
Like, aren't we exhausted with that process yet? Why don't we wait? Like, I mean, I know Bryce Young is out there, okay, and if Ryan Poles is going to trade Justin Fields to draft, to acquire picks that way, to acquire more first-round picks and take Bryce Young, okay, like, you're getting more, as long as you're getting a good haul for Justin Fields and you're not, just getting a second and a third round for him, like, that's ridiculous. If you're getting multiple first-rounders and taking a quarterback you like, okay, that to me is, you still have a lot to build. Like, this team is probably from a serious contender, probably 2 years. I think they can be in the playoff picture. I think that's the next step, is to be in the playoff hunt, playoff picture next year.
Right.
Not necessarily a serious contender, because you have so many holes, but they can make that leap. And if Justin Fields makes another leap, maybe they can surprise people when they make the playoffs. But again, this team's, there's a lot of holes to fill, and getting a quarterback and essentially starting your GM clock, because we all know the GMs are instantly on the hot seat when they draft their quarterback. Why would you be that stupid to allow, to put that clock on you when you have Justin Fields, who appears to be very good? There's a lot of evidence showing that he can do good things.
Yes.
Why would you do that? And he's on his rookie deal too. You're not paying him a lot of money. He's cheap right now. You can afford to do all these different things right now while he's doing that. And you know what? If he's not ready at that point, then you can go out and get your quarterback. Then you can trade the future at that point when you have the rest of the pieces in place and move up in the draft and draft that quarterback that you want. I don't think you need to do that at this point. And I think it would be boneheaded for Poles to do that. He would be one of the dumbest GMs in the world to put that clock going on himself right now. I mean, you have this get out of free jail card in Justin Fields. 3 years down the road, when it's up and they're still not competing, you can say, well,
then you can pull the quarterback.
I'm going to do that. And
then you pull the ripcord.
The ownership's going to allow them to do that, because that's what they do. Like, I mean, Ryan Pace got 2 quarterbacks. That's unheard of. with a team that wasn't really successful, or a GM that wasn't really successful. He got 2 quarterbacks,
right,
or 3 if you count Mike Glennon. So, yeah, I don't see that. I can't imagine that would happen. But crazier things have happened, so I can't completely write it off.
Going from one thing that'll frustrate you to a positive, we did hear today Damar Hamlin from the Buffalo Bills. He was able to kind of regain consciousness, or I don't know if they kind of let him out. I think they put him in a medically induced coma, if I'm not mistaken, to kind of help him improve from Monday night's game. But he was able to. He doesn't have his ability to speak yet, but he did write down, "Did we win?" And the doctors responded, "Yes, you won. You won the game of life. The fact that you're still alive." So,
yeah.
Holy cow, that was insane. It really surprises me how lucky we are that doesn't happen more frequently. When you think about the fact that, you know what I mean? And from my understanding, and I think the doctors and stuff have speculated, it was, cardiac arrest due to a direct impact to the chest. And, the thing that frustrated me the most, and maybe it's just me, but the amount of not Monday morning quarterbacks, but Monday morning cardiologists that apparently all went to, med school on social media, trying to diagnose what was wrong with him, and then trying to equate it to other things that had nothing to do with his injury. But I'm glad that he's hopefully going to make a recovery. And it's interesting because when this happened and I saw it, and I saw a couple people talk about it on Twitter too, is it made me realize I remember playing baseball and them talking about you have to make sure you don't get hit in the chest with the baseball, because if you get hit hard enough, that's something that can happen. This happened. Chris Pronger, NHL, God, this was probably 15, 20 years ago. This happened. Same situation. Went into cardiac arrest. They were cutting his pads off, and it was kind of interesting when they said, "Oh, we've never seen this before." In the NFL, yes, but this has happened a couple times in the NHL. There's also been skate blade injuries and things like that, and guys have had seizures on the bench and things like that. That was probably about 10 years ago, but I'm so happy that the medical team was able to not diagnose it, but was able to get out there right away, and they knew from the get-go that it wasn't a neurological thing, or it wasn't with a concussion, or it wasn't loss of feeling in a body part, but right away. To bring out the defibrillator, do CPR, and then the fact that it was almost 10 minutes of that, and he's waking up and cognizant and neurologically aware that he played a football game. The fact that was his first question has to be a good sign. Obviously, are there going to be things he doesn't remember? Maybe. Is he ever going to play football again? I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this, I know, with your dad. You have to have a different mentality to be a pro athlete. I love hockey, I love baseball, but clearly I don't, you know me, I do not have any type of killer mentality in me whatsoever in terms of even when I would play hockey, the only time I would get really upset is
your nickname out on the ice.
Killer. Oh, I was Killer, yeah. But even when playing ice hockey in men's leagues, the only time I got genuinely angry was when someone would take a cheap shot at a teammate. Other than that, I'm going to try my best, but if I don't score, I don't score. If I have a bad game, I'd be kind of pissy, but other than that, that's it. So it's hard to think about the mentality, okay, this guy, is he going to want to come back? Is he going to want to play? This isn't even the conversation you have right now because he's got a long road to recovery, but it's very interesting. I'm sure in the back of his head, maybe he's probably thinking okay, am I going to come back? I mean, look at Zach Miller. For the longest time, his goal was to come back when there was no way he could come back with his injury, right? I don't know. But I'm very surprised this hasn't happened before. Unfortunately, I'm sure it'll happen again. It's amazing, the logistical things of that impact to the chest at the nanosecond, not even millisecond, that perfect timing of the electrical impulse of your heart getting ready to beat again, and it's just insane. I don't know. I don't know what you have to take away from it, but it's crazy that thankfully it worked out. The charity work, his toy drive, is, last time I checked, was over $10 million raised now.
10 million now.
10 million, yeah. So that makes me feel good that there are good people in the world, because I don't know, social media.
There was
there's
a lot of
shitty people
out there.
too. So that was good. I mean, like Obvious Shirts, which I love their clothing. I bought a shirt. I just bought another shirt when they did their thing where on Tuesday, every single thing on the store was being donated to the charity. I think they raised $15,000 in T-shirts. So nice. I bought a Wrigley clock shirt from them. But like, trying to find the silver lining like has been nice. But yeah, it's crazy. So I'm glad he's hopefully on the road to recovery now. We'll see what happens. But
well said.
Thank you. All right, should we switch gears and have some fun with closer walkout music now?
Sure, why not?
All right, let's do it.
Now it's time for Whatever.
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 Whatever you want. Whatever I want.
Whatever, dude. Irrelevant.
Whatever, dude.
All right, Vinny, take it away.
Welcome to Whatever, baseball and whatever. This week we are counting down, ranking our top 5 walkout songs that closers have had. This was something this is something I thought of early on when we were trying to think of whatever topics, and I know my brother-in-laws on Gretchen's side used to do this before we had kids. We would be drinking on like a Friday, Saturday night all together, and when we were playing music, we would just like all pick random songs, and us guys would always think like, oh, what would be a song that you would walk out to closer? So this is, like, oh, this is perfect a topic because this is something that I've done in the past and thinking like, oh, what would my closer song be? Or, what was a good closer song that a MLB closer had? So this week we're going to first do, I think, top 5 actual closer songs that were used, and then we'll probably dive in and talk about songs that I don't know if they were used. There's not a good list out there. Maybe someone should come out with that and do all that work for us. So there's a nice catalog of all the songs that were used by all these MLB closers. But we'll go through our songs after we go through MLB closers. Justin, do you know who the first original person was that had the closer?
It was I came across it.
And what the song was?
It was somebody from like the 70s, right? Or 50s.
What was that?
Was it the 70s or the 50s?
70s.
And wasn't it? It was some like instrumental music, right?
Yes, it was on April 19th, 1972. Sparky Lyle, Hall of Famer, Cy Young Award winner, came out to the song Pop and Circumstance, and thus the closer song was born. Yeah, what a song to come out to is I don't know how he found or landed on that song. That's I don't know. But good for old Sparky for starting that trend, because it's a fun trend, and it adds to the kind of the theatrics of an MLB game, especially late in games when a closer is going to come out. So
yeah,
nice little history lesson there. But Justin, I will kick it to you on your number 5. What was your number 5?
All right. Well, I have 6, but in fairness, I know there can be no ties, especially when this is a Vinny Run segment. So I'm looking at my list right now, and I think for number 5, all right, I'm going to go, this was Liam Hendriks. I believe he used this when he was with Oakland, if this sounds right, and it's a mashup. So I kind of want to find out where I can download this mashup, because I was listening to it before the show. And it's got a bunch of bands in it that I like. So the song itself is called We Will Kill the Breath of the Bangarang. So I think they just took a bunch of different chunks of different songs, and it's a mashup of Queen, Rage Against the Machine, which I love Queen. I love Rage Against the Machine. Prodigy, which I only know, like, was it Firestarter and Breathe maybe? I don't know. There's another song by them I know. And then Skrillex, which I don't really know much about Skrillex, but hearing that Rage Against the Machine part, it's really good. Like, I would definitely see how you could get pumped up hearing that. If you are into any of those bands, I highly recommend it. That is my number
starts
5.
Off with "We Will Rock You," right?
Yes, it does.
He's still using that. With
Is
the
he
White
still
Sox
using it?
too,
Okay.
isn't he? I think so.
I think so. I honestly
think
don't know.
On one of the lists I saw that he was using that.
Okay.
Unless he's using a different mashup, but yeah, he's still using the "We Will Rock You."
But yeah, if you like any of those bands, especially the Rage part, I highly recommend it. It's so good. There's something about mashups that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've gone on YouTube like deep dives just looking for mashups and listening to them. You get into some really cool stuff. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, if you like mashups, do you ever hear the DJ Girl Talk?
No, I don't think so.
No, check him out on Spotify. You'll like his mashups; they're pretty good.
I'll have to check that out.
My number 5 was Eric Gagne's "Welcome to the Jungle" by Guns N' Roses. It's just a good song. Just that beginning part with the guitar and Slash. And just the build up of that to the actual song. It's a good one. So that made number 5 for me.
All right,
Justin, number 4.
You're not gonna be happy with me. All right, my number 4. This is controversial, and I didn't even know this guy was a closer. It's good, Vinny. I'm telling you, I can picture.
No, it's not.
I can picture him like. All right, well, we'll get into this. Brad Hand, who I very vaguely remember on Cleveland when the Cubs played them in 2016. Apparently, he was their closer at one point. He used Beastie Boys, one of my favorite bands of all time, and this is one of my favorite songs. There's Paul Revere. So just bear. If you don't know Paul Revere, it's a great song by the Beastie Boys in just all walks of life. But the thing I want to say is it's very, I don't know, it's got a very different sound. It's not very like pump you up. It's very slow. But like the way it starts off,
terrible for a closer.
But the way it starts off so like quiet and like just them talking. Like I can just imagine like the door opens from the outfield gate and you just walk. Like you don't even run. You just walk and let the song play. And it's all about Paul Revere, which makes no sense because it's talking about him wasting people at a tavern or whatever. Like, yeah, it's great. And like, I wouldn't run. Like some songs, like the last one, I think you would run out to. This one, you just walk and you let the music take over. And I would love it. I think it's a great walkout song, entrance song for a closer.
I don't.
No?
It's too
slow?
It's too weird with the ticking, and it's just like, I don't like it. I don't know.
No?
I gotta listen to the whole thing, I guess. I don't know.
I think it's funny. I'm on a website right here. This is called overtimeheroics.net. And they have a list of the 2021 best closer songs. This was ranked 22 out of 25. It says the Beastie Boys have a ton of great options, but Brad Hand misses the mark with this selection. You would think after the intro the song would pick up somehow, but the instrumental does not back up the lyrics nearly enough to put this any higher. So it's a weird combination because of the clicking thing is different. That's for sure.
The clicking, and they're really not good like vocal artists either.
No, I think
and it's a terrible. It's not one of their like, Sabotage,
I think it's in their
or
top 10.
You got to fight for your right.
I think it's in their top 10. Top 10 Beastie Boys songs.
Maybe, but I mean, if you're talking about like.
Sabotage.
A good vocalist group. It's a very quiet song, and it's more of them speaking than like, you might as well have an audiobook playing.
It was the worst. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Right.
I think you're right. Beastie Boys, Sabotage would be incredible for a walkout. I think. And I think Intergalactic could work as a walkout song too, because that's such a strange song, but it's much more.
I think
faster.
Fight for Your Right would be a good one too.
Yes, I think that definitely would too.
Those are all better than Paul Revere.
I would agree, but in terms of songs that were used by closers, I'm gonna put that as my number 4.
Still, I mean, there was a reason why that was 22 out of 25.
Yeah, well, but that's a website I've never even heard of, so I digress. Go ahead, Vinny.
My number 4 is Trevor Hoffman's Hell's Bells.
Oh, great song.
By AC/DC.
Great song. Yep.
That is a really, I mean, God, AC/DC. One of their songs is going to show up on my list. I'll say that right now.
Oh, yeah, same here.
They have a lot of good songs that could be walkout songs. And just the Hell's Bells, the bells playing at the beginning. Yeah, that's
the tone.
That's a really good one. Yeah, it sure does. So yeah, Hell's Bells for me, number 4. Justin, number 3.
All right. So this is one also an AC/DC song. I did not know this was used by a closer. This was used by Zach Britton when he was Baltimore's closer. I don't know. That would have been what, 3 seasons ago maybe, because I don't think he's their closer anymore. I don't even know if he's on the team anymore in Baltimore. Another AC/DC song.
He's not.
This one though, you might take umbrage with because it starts off kind of slow, and I know how you feel about that. And that is For Those About to Rock by AC/DC. What do you think about that one?
I'm trying to remember the song. I can't.
It starts off with just a single guitar. I'm assuming it's Angus Young just playing a couple chords, and then what's the lead singer? I can't think of his name now. That doesn't matter. But then he kind of chimes in, and then the drums they hit the snare and the bass, and then the drums kind of pick up. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. It's not perfect. I think it's a solid number 3 though, because once the song gets going, it's going to take a little bit of time. So this might be another one that you walk and you don't run out, because you gotta set the mood and strike fair into the hitter as you get ready to come in and close the game out. I can see your face. You listening to it?
I just listened to it. No, that one's a good one. Now that's a good one. Just because it's got the musical. It gets the strumming going on the guitar. They kind of hit it heavy at good points. So I would say that's a good one. Now that's a good slow one to come out to. Paul Revere is still just a terrible one to come out to. I don't care. I mean, hell. I mean, Shake It Off by what's
Taylor
her
Swift?
name? Taylor Swift would be better than.
By the way, your sister was very disappointed that you are not a Taylor Swift fan.
I actually am okay with that.
It's funny. The next morning, I woke up with that new song of hers. I was singing it in my head when I woke up. What's it called? I don't know. It's a good song though.
Doesn't matter. It's shit. It doesn't matter. I also caught some flack from Brian, who wrote in Taylor Swift, and he was upset that I wasn't a Swiftie.
I kind of figured as much. Yes, I kind of figured he might reach out to you about that. I don't know if you're gonna like my number 2 pick. I don't know.
Oh, God.
All right. Anyway, go ahead.
But For Those About to Rock, that's actually a good one.
That's a good one. All right, good. Well, I'm 2 for 3.
That's a really good one. I like that one, and I agree. That's probably one that you walk out to. You don't run at all. And maybe when everything kind of picks up and starts playing,
then you maybe a jog,
start, trotting, and
or something. But who was it that would run out from the bullpen like balls to the wall? I'm like, I don't know.
I forgot that guy.
Who was that?
Didn't he slide out there too?
Yeah, I don't remember who that was.
Slide. I forgot who that was.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't know.
Closer.
I'm like, would you want to get like that? Out, not. I mean, I guess these guys are athletes. They're not going to be really out of breath, but I don't know.
He
that
didn't
just
look
seems
like an athlete. That guy didn't.
Well,
I
baseball
remember.
players.
God, I don't know. I forgot who that was, but yes, I recall that guy just sprinting out there and would do the slide. I think he played for the Brewers at one point. I feel like
I'll have to find out who that was.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's a good number 3, Justin.
Thank you.
So I do like that. My number 3 is a recent one, very popular, is Narco by Blaster Jacks and Timmy Trumpet, Edwin Diaz's walkout song for the Mets. It was this year's kind of the big one that kind of brought, I don't know, got a lot of people excited about closer songs again. But yeah, I just love that kind of the thumping kind of at the beginning, and then the trumpet just kind of picks up and everything. It just was a really cool entrance that he had. And then, of course, Jerry Seinfeld had to get on his old man yells at Cloud and got upset when they brought the actual artist,
the real artist,
when they brought Timmy Trumpet there and actually did the playing of the trumpet live. He got upset about that and said that was the reason why they lost. But yeah, it's a really cool entrance. If you haven't seen it, you can YouTube it, and it's pretty. It gets the crowd going. The crowd's clapping along with it and everything. It, gets everybody into it. It's a good song.
Who was it? Starlin Castro had a song like that where there was a lot, or maybe it was Rizzo at one point after Castro left, that there was a lot of clapping for a
it was.
I know
really popular.
Yes, and I know I have it saved. I bought it on iTunes strictly because I heard it so much during Cubs games, but we don't need to get into that.
I think I know what song that is. Yeah, I remember we went to the Dominican Republic, and they were playing that song all the time. And I had never heard it before, and then coming back, then I heard it nonstop. I feel like all the time. But yeah, that's a good song. It's the one I'm thinking of.
We're definitely on the same page. I'm trying to look through my last recently purchased iTunes music because I still buy music. But since this is the newer computer that I bought, everything is listed as new instead of my old one. All right, so my number 2. I'm very curious where you're going to stand on this one, Vinny. This is when Boston closer Koji Uehara.
Good song.
Okay, and that is Sandstorm by Darude.
Yes, I love that song.
That song, they played that at school dances. That was your Euro techno, as I'm doing my rave music here, rave dancing here. You just grab some glow sticks and you're good to go. But that is a song. If you don't know what song that is, Google Darude and Sandstorm, and I guarantee you, if you don't know it by the first 5 seconds, let it play for 30. You have heard this song somewhere, and I guarantee you, if you've ever been to any stadium, whether it's hockey, football, baseball, basketball, they have played that multiple times. You hear that song. That guy's got to make money, so much money from licensing his music to pro teams to play at their stadiums. Just a great song. And when I saw that pop up on the list, I'm like, oh, I don't know if this would work. But he was another guy that just kind of slowly walked out, maybe a slow trot. And then once that song starts picking up, by the time he's on the mound doing his warm-up pitches, I'm like, oh man, this is badass. So that is my number 1. I'm sorry, not my number 1. My number 2. He was a Cub at one point too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was
at the end of his
championship year, I think.
Yeah.
The year they won the World Series, he was on the team. I thought, or maybe it was the year after. I can't. We talked about him.
We talked about him the other week. Yeah,
numbers. Yeah. But yeah, he was with the Cubs at one point, and the guy that used to run out and slide was Heath Bell.
Oh, he was a big guy
Dodgers.
Too. He was a real big guy.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I know he did do it on the Padres too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he was graceful in it.
He could move.
He looked pretty good doing it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good call.
That's a good pick. I do like that one.
Well,
so,
thank you.
Again, that one's way better than Paul
Revere.
I still can't believe you picked that one.
I don't.
My
I'm
number
a big Beastie
2
Boys fan.
Beastie Boys.
It doesn't matter when it comes to
walkout
music.
Walkout song. But my number 2 is Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix, and I think it was Joel Zumaya. Is that if I'm pronouncing that right?
Yes,
the
he was
Tigers had that. That is such a good. I mean, that's one of my favorite Jimi Hendrix songs. But it was, oh God, that beginning part with the guitar, that guitar riff that he's got going, and then just everything comes together at one point. It's so good. Yeah, and anything that has that slow beginning and then just kind of just punches is really good in my book. So yes, Jimi Hendrix's Voodoo Child, that would be one of mine, but it doesn't show up on my list later on because I try to pick songs that weren't used previously.
Joel Zumaya, if I'm not mistaken, he was the guy that could throw 102, couldn't he? For the Tigers,
yes.
he and then didn't he get injured playing Guitar Hero or something? He got carpal tunnel from playing too much Guitar Hero, and he had to go on the IL for that. If I'm not mistaken,
I don't remember that.
I'll have to look that up. But I remember that being a big issue. Let's see. Oh yeah, sure enough. Google. Former Tigers pitcher. He missed the ALCS because of a Guitar Hero injury. Yes.
Oops. It's almost like Bauer missing the World Series because he played with a drone.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, that guy is a moron for multiple reasons. And I saw somebody somebody said, should the Cubs take a look? I don't want that guy anywhere near this team or the city for that matter. Yeah, it says here, my hand flared up on me, the right thumb, the thumb I couldn't grip the baseball with. I couldn't throw the baseball. The Guitar Hero game had just come out. I fell in love with the game. Dude, I'm a rock and roll fan. It's killer. I'm going to buy this, and I guess I got hurt. The Guitar Hero makers, though, ended up taking care of Zamaya. He said they treated me very well. In a later version of the game, the video game has a disclaimer when it loads saying no pitchers were harmed in the making of this game except for one, Joel Zamaya. He had it coming.
That's funny.
That's
that
awesome.
Is really funny.
That's awesome. All right, what are we on? My number one?
That's a good one. Yeah, so what's your number one?
My number one, I had to pick this just because it's so iconic, and I remember listening to this when this guy would come out for the Padres, and that's Trevor Hoffman, amazing Hall of Famer closer. In Hell's Bells by AC/DC I remember we would listen to that. I think I played on a team that we would skate out to that, which is kind of a cool concept too. And I just remember like as a kid being like, oh, AC/DC is so cool. Trevor Hoffman's cool because he's so good. The Padres are cool because I played for the Padres in Little League. It was like the culmination of a perfect storm of all these things coming together. And it's just a great, like you said, another one that starts off slow and then builds, and then it's like, all right, shit, let's do this. Let's close this game out. So that's my number one.
That's good. My number one is Shipping Up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys with Jonathan Papelbon. Boston, when he was Boston's closer, Dropkick Murphys, Boston, that song just rocks. I love that song. So that had to be my number one just because, like, location, like, the team, the song, everything, and just like that beginning part with the drumming, the strumming, the drums, like, just all together, and just, like, kind of like, it's almost like a heartbeat beating at the beginning of that song. And it's just iconic, and just being in Boston and having that as your song would be amazing. So yeah, that's my number one. I'm so glad you didn't say that your number one is Enter Sandman.
I hate Metallica.
I'm not
with
a
a
Metallica
passion.
fan, and I just think that's kind of like their like poppy song. Like that's the one everybody says. And the funny thing about that is, Rivera isn't like a Metallica fan. He didn't even like the song.
Really?
I don't. Did you? I don't know if you read any of the articles.
I don't think I did read some. I don't think
USA
I think I
that you posted had that, and he was quoted as saying, "It's not part of my identity. People identify it with me, but that's it. I wouldn't say that it's my identity. To tell you the truth, I have to do one thing. I have to go out there and pitch." He didn't even know the name of the song for years.
Wow.
And he said he would have picked Christian music if he had a choice.
Oh God.
Okay. And so the fact that that's an iconic song, and like people it was number one on this list, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of reasons why it shouldn't be number one. It's not even like a good Metallica's like their best. I feel like their best song.
I never liked Metallica in general, and then all the Napster stuff, and that made me dislike them even more. I think the only Metallica song I can somewhat stomach is For Whom the Bell Tolls, which I know I saw some closer use that, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Sean Doolittle, I think.
Okay. Which, that song's okay, but
yeah,
that is a band, that would be a good list, like top 5 bands we just can't stand for whatever reason, and they would be near the top. Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield? No. I don't know what the guitarist's name is. But I don't like them. I just, their music is just ugh. I don't know, maybe the old Metallica. Yeah. I've never really heard a lot of old Metallica. So maybe that I would like, but no.
Maybe.
So yeah. All right.
But, yeah.
Cool.
Good list. Outside of Paul Revere. What was your number 6 that you probably should have put in front of Paul Revere?
Initially, it was going to be The Chain by Fleetwood Mac, but you would have to wait until it picks up because the beginning part is way too slow. So and I don't remember. I don't. And I don't. I can't.
Better than Paul Revere.
I can't remember now which player it was that had it. To be honest, I wonder. Did I save it? I don't know if I did. Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Taylor Rogers, which I don't even know what team he played for, to be honest. But yeah, you would need to really, some of these you would have to like edit when you're coming in. But yeah, anyway, so I went with Beastie Boys instead because it's a good song. All right, and a good walkout too.
No, it's not.
Do you want to discuss ones that you would walk out to before we wrap up, and then we can talk about the people that wrote in?
Sure. You know what? Let's do the people.
Go to
so
the
we
write-ins.
don't
Okay.
Because we've been
Yes,
doing
because
that,
we have a habit of doing
recently.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely walk out to the Smashing Pumpkins
Oh, it's
Zero.
so
That
good.
song from Chicago. Bring out on the PA system would get me so amped. And Luke Stuckmeyer from CHGO Cubs endorsed that as well. And yeah, that's a really good song. And I like the local ties.
Yes,
To
I
it
think
as well.
that's
It kind of goes with that Jonathan Papelbon, Dropkick Murphys kind of aspect.
I love that song. For the longest time, I've been trying to find and buy one of the Zero T-shirts. It's just all black and it's got like silver writing that says Zero from. I think he wore it in the video, or maybe he wore it at concerts. I think he wore it at a concert I saw him at. But yeah, that is such a good song, and it, like you said, the Chicago ties are excellent. So yeah. All right, let's see who else we got here. Kevin wrote in and said the best closer intro ever was Hell's Bells, used by Trevor Hoffman. I agree. And he said his intro would be from AC/DC, and that would be Thunderstruck, which also I think would be a pretty good.
That's a good one.
Pretty good one. I know the White Sox, I think, still run out onto the field with that, don't they? I think, or at least they did up until a couple of years ago. So there you go. Uh-oh. Vinny, I think I lost Vinny. All right, well, I will go ahead and read the next one until Vinny comes back. Hold on here. Let me fix this for a second. All right, the last one we had, because Vinny is gone. Oh,
Justin?
Yes, I can hear you now. You were all pixelated there for a
did
second.
I cut out?
Yes.
Okay. So did you didn't hear anything I said?
No, didn't hear a single thing you said.
Okay. I didn't know if you cut out, so I just kept going. So I was talking to nobody. But I noticed that my picture had dropped, so it was on my end. So now I know that if my picture drops, that I'm the one, so I can just shut up and try to fix it on my end. But Greg writes in, and he said the final countdown, I forgot who does it. It's Europe, I think.
Yes.
Was his choice, his first one that came off the top of his head. But I know Greg better than himself, and I picked You Know My Name by Chris Cornell, which is a James Bond theme song. And Justin, do you know which James Bond movie that is from?
It's got to be a new one if it's Chris Cornell.
Is it
Skyfall?
No.
No, I have no idea then.
It's Casino Royale.
I was right. It was a newer one. I mean, in the big.
It was a newer one. I know. I was trying to throw you off. I figured Casino Royale might be the only one you know. But yeah, that one, that's a really good song. And I know when I was listening to music all week, I was kind of having that mentality in my mind, like, oh, what would be a good closer song? And that popped up, and I was like, oh man, this would be it's got such a good beginning. And Greg's James Bond ties, I think he would really appreciate that one.
Yes,
but then Greg also said that Goose Gossage used to come out to Bad to the Bone, which that he liked that one, which that's a good song too to use. And then Edwin Diaz's Narco, he liked that one as well. So
very cool.
Good choices there. The final countdown, I feel like, has been used before. I would have to imagine some pitcher closer has used that as their song. But again, someone needs to catalog all these, go back and figure it out. I'm not going to do it.
I agree.
I don't have the time to do that, but someone should.
Someone should go ahead and do this
Ken
for
Burns
us, please.
Should,
come on,
right? He's the guy that
Ken
does
Burns
all those documentaries.
Yeah, that thing, the baseball documentary is like on MLB Network like every freaking day. At least from what I see. So, yeah, good call. Good. Thank you to those guys for writing in. We definitely appreciate it. So,
okay,
all right.
Justin,
how
many songs do you have?
I
have a top 5 list.
Oh, geez. All right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay, you gonna be able to narrow that down?
No.
I'll go with my number 5, and you work on your number 5.
All right, go ahead.
I'll go first. My number 5 is by AC/DC, and it's "If You Want Blood, You Got It." Such a good song. A very underrated AC/DC song. I hadn't heard that. I think the first time I heard that was in the movie Empire Records. But it's one of my favorite AC/DC songs. It's got the drums in the beginning with Angus on the guitar, and it just kind of drives right from the get-go. It's just a classic. I mean, I feel like every AC/DC song's very similar.
Yes,
I think that's my biggest knock against them is they're not very different, but all their music just kind of drives and is like very like ampy, gets you jacked up. And this is one of my favorite songs by him. So that would be my walkout song is "If You Want Blood, You Got It." So my number 5.
All right. I'm trying to narrow my thing down for
Should I just do my entire
Yeah, go through your whole list. Go through your whole list.
All right. Number 4 for me would be "Hard Sun" by Eddie Vedder, and I picked that one as a kind
that's
of
a deep
Cubs
cut
tie
to
it. Yeah. I love that song. It's got a good kind of like, I don't know, rhythm to it. It's kind of one of those slower ones that you would walk out to. Again, still way better than Paul Revere. But also has that Cubs tie to it. Trying to I don't think Eddie Vedder's from Chicago, is he?
He's from Seattle, I believe.
Honestly,
but he's known for being a Cubs fan.
Big Cubs fan. He was there, when they won the World Series. He was there in the locker room. So big Cubs fan. So kind of that tie into it would be my number 4. Number 3 is Justin. You're gonna absolutely hate this one most likely, but is "You Will Be There," the reprise version of Michael Jackson's song. If you don't know the title, you will know what movie it's from. When I say it's from Free Willy, you will know the song.
Oh,
Remember
my
that
God. Yeah, Vinny, why? And you're giving me shit about Paul Revere? Oh, my God.
It's still better than Paul Revere. It actually has, if you would listen to it, it is way better than Paul Revere. That song's got a good kind of like epic like mantra to it in like a very subtle way, because you wouldn't associate Free Willy with sports and a closer. So yes,
you wouldn't.
"Will You Be There" by Michael Jackson. If you don't like it, tell me why you don't like it, but you're wrong, because it's a great song. You could actually use that. That could be my number 1.
That's going to be your intro music next week. "You Will Be There," Michael Jackson. There we go.
Number 2 for me is
Vinny.
"Knights of Sidonia."
Oh my God, I have not heard this song in like 30 years. Oh my
You listening to it?
Yes.
It would be perfect. That beginning part with the piano playing for the Michael Jackson. Yep.
You play this at a wake. You don't play this at a baseball stadium.
Come on. Everybody would get into it. But my number 2 is a much more suitable one. It's "Knights of Sidonia" by Muse.
Oh, that's a great song. Great intro.
Yeah, the beginning to that is great, and it's kind of listening to that song. It's a really good song.
Yes, it is.
It's got like a really Western feel to it. It's got like a trumpet in the background you can hear. So it's got a lot of good parts to it. But yeah, I really like that beginning of that and that build up of that song. And then my number 1, Justin, you'll probably hate this one. If you didn't like my number
you know what?
3,
It can't be any worse than Michael Jackson. It can't be any worse. It can't be any worse than Michael Jackson. So go ahead.
It is "Shake It Out" by Florence and the Machine.
Okay.
It's a slower song, but it's like, I don't know, it's got like a very epic feel to it. Yeah, and I think the name "Shake It Off" is good for a closer, especially if you suck and you had a bad game before and you couldn't close it out. You got to shake it off and you just got to get back out there. But I like that song. It's got a very like kind of slow beginning, and then it kind of just starts driving, I guess. The song does. So that's my number 1. If I had to be a closer, would be "Shake It Out" by Florence and the Machine.
I thought you were going to say "Shake It Out" by oh God, what was that
Shake
pop
It Off?
song? Shake It. No,
Taylor
not
Swift?
Taylor Swift. There was another. Shake It Out. No, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was a pop song. It was probably like on the WB. It was like a was like a WB song. All right, mine. I took 11 and very quickly I got it down to 6, Vinny. So you'll have to do.
All right, we'll take it.
6. All right, number 6. This is a 3-way tie between Guerrilla Radio, Testify. Rage Against the Machine. It could either be Guerrilla Radio, Testify, or Sleep Now in the Fire. I'm leaning towards Sleep Now in the Fire because that's a little bit more of a deeper cut than the other two, but not much. I love those guys. I love Tom Morello.
Yeah, they're good.
But that song, especially Sleep Now in the Fire, just like the guitar, like I could see that would be like one you sprint out to. My real list now, top 5. There's multiple versions of this song. The one I have is a little bit more upbeat and faster, and it's probably my favorite rap song of all time. It's Check Yourself by Ice Cube. You know what song I'm talking about?
Nice.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm not talking, there's like a slow version, and then there's like a much faster version with like more oomph. I don't know if you can quantify that. So that's the one I'm talking about, not the slower one. Another song, this is the only song by this band I know, but once it gets going, like it's a badass song, and that is Battle Flag by the Low Fidelity All-Stars. If you heard the intro,
heard that song.
If you listen to it, it's no Free Willy, but it's pretty good. It starts.
What's it called?
It's
Bag.
Battle Flag, Battle
Battle
Flag, and the band is Low Fidelity All-Stars.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be curious. That one, it's a little weird. A little angry, but it's pretty good. This is another one along the lines of Sandstorm and Darude. I am like a closet Daft Punk fan. Robot Rock is an excellent song. They used to play that during Hawks games sometimes, and that's where I found it. That's obviously all instrumental because most of their stuff is instrumental, minus some of the hits.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an awesome song. I could see somebody running out from the bullpen for that. Last two, much more well-known. I know you're not the Paul Revere fan, but Sabotage by the Beastie Boys, I think, would be an excellent closer entrance song. That video, like, of them trying to be cops, like, I just think of someone, like, trying to slide over, and all they're doing in that video is running after people, so, like, I think it's perfect. And so that's probably, between that and Intergalactic, those are probably my top 2 favorite Beastie Boys songs. Although Paul Revere is in the top 10. And then number 1... one of my favorite songs of all time. And like you said, you got to dock them a little because everything sounds the same. But I think TNT by AC/DC would also be a very good walkout song.
That would be a good one. Yep.
So those are, I
agree.
I had like 6 or 7 more in there, but I won't.
Yeah. We can talk about them. I know when I was, like I said, this whole week I was like kind of had that in the back of my mind, our songs for closers. And really, the band that I picked the most songs from is The Who. The Who have a lot of good like intros. Like a great song for like a rookie closer is "Who Are You" would be hilarious to walk out to.
Yeah. You're right. That would be good.
Won't Get Fooled Again is another good one. The Seeker. I think was it Bubba O'Reilly? Always Mistaken for Teenage Wasteland would be a good one, and Eminence Front is also good.
That's
Eminence
a really
Front's
good song.
a quieter one, but that's a pretty good like beginning to it. But yeah, those are all really good ones. If I was a pitcher in the 80s, I probably would have picked Cocaine by Eric Clapton to walk out to. And I'm curious if anybody actually has walked out to as a Phillies closer, "Gonna Fly Now" by Bill Conti. Do you think?
Probably not.
I've never heard that, but I was like, man, that would be a pretty good one to walk out to, especially if you're a Phillies closer. But I didn't see it pop up on the list, and I feel like if you were a Phillies closer and that was like you were the first one to pick it, like that should be like. You should be on the like top 10 list, but I didn't see it, and I can't imagine that anybody would because it's kind of maybe stealing Rocky's thunder, and I don't know how Philly fans would take that.
Oh, you don't want to do that. The only other ones I came up with, these are all from like when I was in high school. The Vines, "Get Free," I thought was a good song, really strong guitar riff in the beginning. "Hate to Say I Told You So" by the Hives also has a pretty cool guitar riff in the beginning to run out to. "Burn the House Down" by AJR, something different. It's got a little bit of trumpet in there, which I think would be pretty cool. And then the last two, Van Halen, which I'm not a really big Van Halen fan. I'm more, what would that be? Not Sammy Hagar. I'm more David Lee Roth Van Halen than Sammy Hagar Van Halen. But I would go Right Now. I feel like he's got a pretty cool intro with the drums, and I feel like they play that at stadiums all the time too. And then the other one, thinking back to Smashing Pumpkins, which Jake said zero. Another one I thought would be good is Ava Adore. I don't know if you've ever heard that song. It's a little bit of a deeper cut. So. It's weird. It's a really weird song, but it's got a cool intro that I think maybe they could pull off. Once it gets to the lyrics, it kind of, but I mean, I like the song in general, but yeah. So those are some of the other ones I had. Where do you stand on? How about Rockefeller Skank by Fatboy Slim?
That's a good one.
You think that would work? I don't know. Or is there maybe not enough variance in it?
I mean, it works better than Paul Revere.
I don't know. If here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we have to break out another poll, and we have to say, what's a better closer song, Paul Revere by the Beastie Boys or the Free Willy song from Michael Jackson?
The Beastie Boys because no one wants to pick Michael Jackson. But I mean, let's be honest. If you're gonna be, honest with yourself, what would be the better walkout? If you put yourself in the mindset of what's the better walkout song, you're gonna pick "Will You Be There" by Michael Jackson, not the weird awkwardness of Paul Revere.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I digress. Disagree. But another good one would be the theme song for Jackass, Corona, would be a good one.
Oh,
to walk out to, I feel
like.
But that one you would have to run out because it's a really short song. But just that beginning part with the guitar riff, and then just, I guess, the song kicks in, just like bust out of the gates. Up to the mound. But the Rolling Stones, "Gimme Shelter" and "Sympathy for the Devil."
Gimme Shelter is a great song.
Would be really good ones. Let's see here. "Louie Louie" by the Kingsmen would be an interesting one.
That was one of my favorite songs to play in jazz band. I loved playing that song.
You played that in jazz band. Interesting.
We played that in jazz band. You know that song was banned for a while because they thought it was lyrics worshiping the devil,
didn't know
right?
what the words were.
Yeah.
Yep. The FBI opened up an investigation on the song, and they still couldn't come to a conclusion. But it was because It's a great song in general. The only other one I thought of, and I don't know if it would work, but what about the song? I don't know who sings it. Well, it's an instrumental, but I think it's called "Green Onions," and it's the song that is the
what
Booker
I'm talking
T's
about.
and the MGs. Yep, it's from the Sandlot.
Sandlot, yeah.
I feel like they play it a lot.
They play that a lot. I feel like
I had that on my list of songs to use, but I'm like, I know I hear that a lot at the stadiums. Like whether I think it's like they do mound visits or something like that. They'll play that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The thing. So I'm like, it doesn't really work because it's played too much.
I feel like there'd be a lot of good oldies, like 60s and 50s songs that could work too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really dive too deep in that.
Yeah, some of that bubblegum pop, ice cream parlor type music. Yep, I got it. Like I said, I had a long list here. "I Will Survive" would be a pretty funny one to walk out to.
Yeah.
That would be a good one. Another kind of like a more rocky one, "Blues Travelers Carolina Blues" would be a pretty good one to walk out to or come out to. I don't think you would walk out to that one, but also the Walk of Life by the Dire Straits.
Oh, that's a good song. Yeah.
To walk out to, I feel like. And then I think the song "Ooh Ah" by the Grits and Toby Mac would be a pretty good rap song to walk out to. I don't think
that would be a good one.
Walked out to that one before.
That would be a good one.
And then the last one here, the theme song to The Sopranos would be a good one.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Woke up this morning.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, that is the long list.
Excellent.
Of walkout songs that.
All right, the last one I'll share because I could share all night. And this is going back to the '90s. Harvey Danger, "Flagpole Sitta." I think that would be an awesome with the drum.
That's a
the
good
drum
one too.
intro.
Yep.
I think that would be great.
Yep.
So, all right. Well,
again, better than Paul Revere.
That one I would agree with you. Yes, that is better than Paul Revere. All right. Well, on that note, we don't really have. We'll have to think of a topic for next week.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll get into something there. I'm trying to fill time while I'm looking for our outro music here.
We'll figure it out on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see each other for the family Christmas party. Here we go. All right, so again, if you'd like to write in, tell us what music you would walk out to or your favorite music in general for closers. Email us baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. Tweet us at baseballandwhat, youtube.com/baseballandwhatever. And most importantly, text us or leave us a voicemail at 1-913-808-3278. That number again is 1-913-808-FARTS. There we go. And that's it. We'll be back next week with more tomfoolery and fun on Baseball and Whatever. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend, and see you next time.
Take care.